Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We're a full service CX and UX agency, and welcome to our continuing live streamed program for our micro lesson about observational research. Before I get into what's going on today or what we've been doing, let me just quickly say I am testing out a new gate on my microphone because I listened to some of my videos from the last few days, and it sounds like I am gasping desperately for air. So I'm hoping that the breathing will sound softer on this. So please, in the chat room, let me know if I still sound like I am in distress. I don't want to be in distress. I want to sound like a normal person with normal breathing. So today, we are in the middle of our micro lesson series on observational research. We started about 2 weeks ago by working together live on a research plan and our discussion guide where we wrote our questions. And then we met 8 people who were friends of the show. So we didn't go through a recruitment process. We didn't do the screener survey. I can imagine that being a future micro lesson. But we didn't do a screener survey this time around. And let's move some things on my desk. And so we went straight just to people I knew because this is all fake. So we're pretending that we're working for a company that does kitchen appliances and Internet of Things and apps. And we wanted to research people who were cooking at home. And so again, we just picked friends of the show, which you wouldn't normally do. You would do proper recruiting and screening, which we did not do. So today we're going to be going up here to deltacx.link/mural, not sponsored. And we're going to work on our affinity diagram so that we, Kayleen says the sound is choppy and the gate might be extreme. Okay, hold on. Let me turn off the gate for today and turn on the old gate, and I will just try to not breathe near the microphone. So let me know how that sounds. I will get everybody over to Mural, and we will see if we can. Did I turn off the wrong thing? I should have turned off the gate. Plugins, gate, yes. Is that better? So, everybody get over to Mural. I'm going to share the screen very soon, and I want to make sure that everybody is putting in whatever notes they've taken. Now, there's already a grid up there that someone started putting up. I'm not too sure who, but do not feel under pressure to add your notes to that grid. Someone put that up. That's not how I start, and I'll show you how I start, but my idea is that we'll spend about an hour and a half together working on our affinity diagram. If we need more time, breathing softly, I will schedule for Wednesday as well, and we'll do it again. But let me flip over to my screen and let's take a look at what we're doing, and I will show you how I normally approach this. All right. So you should see my screen now, and you are all welcome to join the Mural board. It says we have a few anonymous friends here, so thank you for joining. Sorry. And feel free to just put your notes anywhere on the screen. That is normally how I start. So I'll tell you how I start. And remember, disclaimer, as we have through the whole series, the way that I do observational research, the way I take notes, the way I deal with my notes, the way I interpret things may not be the same as other practitioners, teachers, instructors. So just remember that it's great to learn different styles from different people and then find the right path for yourself. Shoot for the styles with the most quality, good technique. You know me, science technique. So that's what I would recommend. And so it looks like everybody can see my screen. So just so you know where I start is I go back to my notes. So I don't go straight from a transcript into the board. I like to have the intermediary step of my notes because to me, my notes were the things that either I observed or that I wrote down because I thought they might be important later. If I just go from a transcript, then I haven't kind of run it through its first filter. It's just everything that was said. And if we're doing observational research, then we probably haven't written down what we saw if it's just a transcript. So I would say I normally start by looking at my notes and determining, now that I've met a whole bunch of people, which things seem to be important. Charlene says mural's not loading. We do have 3 anonymous people here. Let me shoot Charlene, the full link is in Slack. We've got Shannon and Ram and Kayleen is Bear and Spider. So, Charlene, check Slack. I put it in the general channel. For those of you who would like, you can join our free Slack workspace. We have almost 600 people there. Some are quite active, some are lurkers, but everyone is welcome. So Charlene, see if you can get in, let me know. So I'm going to start with our first participant and looking at my notes. Now, because we've now gone through 8 of these, I'm starting to notice some patterns and some themes. I might even start putting notes on the board because I've noticed these themes just while doing this. One theme that I noticed was some people are very concerned about certain ingredients, either because they have a medical condition, an allergy, a sensitivity, and things like that. And people are very nervous about eating the wrong thing. That was one thing that I noticed. And hypothetically, participant 1 could also be concerned about these things because he is a vegetarian. So he's not going to want something that has beef broth or bone marrow or gelatin, which we know is a secret word for an animal product. So one thing I noticed was the number of people who really did have to watch out for ingredients. Because remember, in our fake project, we were just doing generative general research to learn about people and see where there might be opportunities for our company to create a new physical or digital product. So let's see. I do think that we should put up some notes about some of the people who had different problems or different concerns around, let's zoom in here. So I'm going to grab a note. Let's see. There we go. And I like to use my own custom dark blue. So I'm going to put up a couple of notes as I find them around people who had food issues, food sensitivities, things like that. In fact, let me erase this and I will make a section in Mural for it if I can find that. Let's do a grid area. So here we go. Let's do a grid area and I'm going to name it Concern About Ingredients because I just know from having done the research and paid attention to people that there was a lot of concern about ingredients. So if you have a note about that, please add it here. So let's see. I'm going to start with participant 1 was a vegetarian, so he's going to be very concerned about accidentally eating animal products. His girlfriend has a number of food allergies. Girlfriend has serious food allergies. Here we go. Yep, put these, just drag them right. I'll drag them up for you, but you can drag them too. Someone else was raw onions and garlic. And right, the vegetarian would be meat, so I'm going to erase that sticker. And we also, we heard lactose from participant 8. We heard some people prefer to eat vegan or prefer to eat a certain way, but they weren't necessarily counting it closely, but there were some people who could be quite ill if they ran into ingredients. So that to me was definitely a theme. Now let's go back to my notes and see what else I noticed that I think might have been a theme. Now again, you can put all your notes out and then bring your themes together. There's no one right way to do this. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong if you just put all your notes out there and then try to make sense of them. But what I do is I go through my notes, and as I see something I think is interesting, I drag the note out. And then I start to see, oh, do I have a note that's about that same thing? Let's make another grid area. Some people were not happy to cook. I'm not sure we can do too much about that. Okay, here's another thing we heard a lot of. So let's drag out another grid. How many times, for those of you who watched some or all of these, do you write on the note which participant the observation came from? I typically don't write on the note who the observation came from unless I'm putting a quote up on the board. If I'm putting a quote up on the board, I'll say it's P1 or P8 or something like that, because when I write my report, or if I do a video clip for a client later, I'll want to know which person said that so I can go find that video clip or that double check the exact quote. So another thing we did hear from a number of people was about the timing of food, that it's so easy, that there seems to be a fine line between cooking your food and burning your food, or the right texture of pasta, the wrong texture of pasta. So I'm just going to call this a fine line between getting it right and wrong. Maybe I'll come up with a better name for that later, but I do know that we heard that from, I feel like, nearly all of our participants. If you remember hearing that too, and if you took some notes, feel free to add something to this grid over here and get some notes in there about people who were worried about burning it. Like, here's my notes from participant 1, and he says that sometimes his girlfriend helps when he's cooking something and forgets it's on the burner and it's burning, and she saves my meals. So we can put partner saves meals from burning because I forgot. And we also heard that, I think, a little bit from participant 8, who made it sound like his wife might help something not burn. Yeah, certainly there's a fine line between eggs being done and being rubbery or sad. Let's see, experiment with soups or spices, big spice rack. Cooks in the kitchen he's in now. We ended up not asking that further. He doesn't really use recipes. So I think we should also try to take note of maybe how many people used recipes and how many didn't, because what I feel like I heard from most people was that they were not following recipes. They were just doing things that they learned, in many cases, from a parent or a grandparent, just following something they had learned before. We didn't have anybody look at a recipe as far as I remember. Now, that doesn't mean people never look at recipes. We don't want to jump to unnecessary conclusions. But it was interesting that nobody said, okay, I'm following this recipe, now I'm going to do this. Yet everybody was concerned about doing things in order, not letting things cook too long. Like, they had concerns that could have helped them if they used a recipe or something like that, and they didn't use a recipe. So there you go. I'm also going to put, let's put Alexa or Google for timers. We had some people ask Alexa or Google Assistant for timers to make sure that if they had to check something in a minute or 10 minutes, that they were going to be reminded to do that. Participant 8 was especially excellent with that. He would set a 1-minute timer to remind him to look at something in 1 minute. Let's see. Any other themes that you feel like you heard? Again, you can see I'm also watching the chat room, so you can type into the chat room. I'm not watching Slack, so if anyone's posting there, I'm not looking. Let's see. I'm just reading through my notes of participant 1 to see if there's anything I think that there was a theme for. Yeah, we've got a new theme coming up on the board now, concern about mess. I think that's another really good theme. I think we saw most of our participants cleaning as they went. They didn't want their kitchen or countertop to have too much stuff on it, and as they were done with an ingredient or something, they really wanted to put it away, get something in the sink, rinse something off. I think the concern about the mess is good. And even some of the people who were like, I'm using this spoon, I'm not done with this spoon, but where do I put this spoon down? Like, I'm not going to put it in the sink, I'm not done with it. Like, do I need a special spoon holder? Do I need a special plate? So think about getting those up there. Thanks to Visiting Ram for getting lots of stuff up. And let's see, so reading my notes just to see if I think anything's important to ask. So here's a little bit, we heard a few things about time. We heard that some people wish that they could eat the things, especially that they remembered eating growing up from mom or grandma, but they were so concerned about how much time these took. And that to me almost feels like a cultural shift, that we don't live in the world that mom and grandma lived in, and we don't have time to make a 5-hour eggplant parmesan or stuffed something. And as someone was talking about trying to make stuffed peppers, maybe it was Naz, participant 7, because I think she was saying, like, you had to make the rice and you had to cook the thing inside it, and then you had to cook the bell pepper first, and you had to do this. There was a lot of concern about that. Time and patience. I think patience is also a really good recurring theme. How many people told us that cooking could make them grumpy? Cooking could make them feel negative. Cooking was stressful. Cooking was not something they enjoyed. There are a few people who had cooking joy, but I think in general we heard from people that cooking was not joyous and not fantastic. Now, we can put up some notes about that, but we should also try to look at our notes and see if we can say why. Why did they feel that way? Why was cooking not pleasant? Like if we go back up for, participant 1, when I asked him if he liked cooking, he took that deep breath. He sighed, which made us think he doesn't like cooking. And then he was like, well, yeah, but I cook the bare minimum. He doesn't feel like he has time. So he just does easy recipes and experiments on the weekend. So maybe that's a good thing to note for our notes over here is I'll add one saying, maybe weekend is experimenting time and no time during the week. Weekend is experiment time, no time during the week. And I'll try to change my color there. Not that the color matters. I'm not using any color coding right now. I'm just using blue for the ones I've put up in case people want a reference of what did I put up. Though, hi Sujeesh. Let's see. That's my loud breathing. We had a few people talk about being hangry. Remember that people's mood was better. Their mood may not have been great during cooking, but once they ate, they weren't so hangry. So that shows you the possible mental state or emotional state of many people who are cooking. I'm not typing as much as I normally would, by the way. I'd be putting all these up as notes, but y'all know my hands are killing me. So I'm hoping some of you will put up the notes that I'm saying. Yeah, good note there about how participant 8 felt frazzled and stressed. That would speak to emotions. Do we have a, let's make a grid area for cooking is stressful. Let me put that in over here. I'll move that around. Give me a second. Cooking is stressful. So let's, what am I doing? All right, let's move that over here. And I'm going to move participant 8's frazzled and stressed over to cooking is stressful. Let's make this box bigger too. Silly mural. So again, my style is just to go through my notes, put everything on the board that I think could be relevant to the goals of the research project. If we are trying to learn how people are cooking at home, how that's changed since the pandemic, do they enjoy cooking? Are they into YouTubers or blogs about cooking? What kinds of cooking appliances do they use, and what do they wish they had? because we're pretending this is just like a big blue sky project for a fake kitchen company. So let's see. There were definitely different cooking styles. Now, if I remember correctly, we had 6 Americans and 1 person in England, Charlene, and my boyfriend who's Italian in Italy. And so we had a couple of different cooking styles with different ethnicities. So I don't know what kinds of notes we want to make about that, but let's take a look. Was there anything anyone remembers from watching participant 1 that was worth writing down, especially something that could end up in a task analysis? How can we make participant 1's task easier? Obviously, that's not necessarily what's happening in the affinity diagram. We'll take a look at that next week when we're doing our task analysis. Abby says participant 1 used a kettle to save time. That's true. So we can add that to, somebody did add that. Thank you to whoever that was. I have to right click. That was Kayleen. So Kayleen got that up on the board, that participant 1 used the kettle to save time. And let's see, we also noticed that very few people measured anything. I don't think we saw a measuring cup. Once in a while we saw a spoon of something, but almost everybody was a pinch of salt. I'm just going to throw some butter in this pan. I can't remember somebody who carefully measured anything. Does anyone remember anyone carefully measuring anything? And again, this is so interesting because people say that they're so concerned about getting it right, and yet they're not measuring things, they're not working from a recipe. So it's kind of a great moment of what they say and what they do aren't really perfect matches. You would think if they're that worried about getting it right, they would measure more carefully, they would set more timers, and they didn't. So, but remember, we have to design for the real human behavior, not what they self-report, not what they wish they did. So everybody winged it, but also expressed that they can get pretty grumpy because they're winging it. So, this is a great little study. Okay, let's see what else. Does anybody remember that not everybody tasted their dishes regularly? I think some people didn't taste anything until it was done. But yet, they're telling you they're so worried it's not going to come out right or they're going to overcook something, they're not even checking along the way. So again, great to design, architect, dream for what people really did and not, because if your notes or something said, we could say people are concerned about getting this right. Well, then you might think, ooh, then they must be careful. No, none of these people were careful. Let's face it. Now, we're not judging them. We're just saying we can't draw a conclusion that people were careful because they were concerned about time and concerned about this. None of them were careful. The only person who measured anything was participant 1, for the most part, who weighed his pasta because he's on a diet and isn't supposed to have too many carbs. So, but yet he has the carbs. Take it from me, because I live with participant 1. So we asked participant 1, do you use a timer? No. He sticks around and he checks when the pasta is done, and he knows it's going to be 5 to 10 minutes, so he stays close by. But yet he also told us a story that sometimes he leaves things cooking and his girlfriend smells them burning and she has to go rescue the dish. So remember, there are things people say that are different at different times. We just have to do the best we can to put on our detective hats. Maggie says, there's me who's constantly snacking or tasting. I think constantly snacking or tasting, there's nothing wrong with that. Unless you are making the same thing again for the 8 millionth time and you're pretty confident in how it'll turn out, you should be tasting along the way, especially if people are claiming they're worried about how it'll turn out. Let's see. So as I go through the notes, everybody keep putting up notes that you can think about from what you observed, because this is your practice to do note taking. What else did we hear repeatedly from our peeps? Now I'm going to look at some of our later questions. So shopping. We had a lot of different answers for shopping. There were people who were still going to markets. There were people who haven't set foot in a market for most of the last year, and they are doing either delivery or pick it up in the parking lot services. So that's probably a different pandemic behavior. Now, I didn't ask them, will you keep doing this after the pandemic? Because nobody knows. Remember, don't ask them questions to predict their future. They don't know. Let's see, what else? Participant 1 talked about shopping less often, that we used to really kind of, and I'm saying we because it's my boyfriend, participant 1, that we used to really walk around supermarkets and go through aisles and blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, check the list, get in, get everything we can, touch the fewest things possible and get out. Grocery shopping, I think, has definitely changed in the pandemic for people. We don't know if it will change back when more people are vaccinated or whatever the case may be. So again, we can't make any bets on that. I also want to remind people quickly that if you watch YouTube in Chrome and you turn on a new Chrome setting, it will auto-generate captions for live streamed YouTube videos. So I really hope that those of you who like to watch me with captions, which is about 4% of you, will start joining the live streams, because you too can be a part of the live stream. I know auto-generated captions are imperfect, but it's better than you not being part of the live stream. So please, if you know anyone who uses captions for my videos, please tell them to start joining the live streams. We'd love to have them here. Let's go back to my notes and see what else I see. Participant 1 says cooking and eating has become more boring. He's eating the same things over and over and just get lunch out of the way. And I think we heard that from participant 7 a little bit too. Like, oh God, just be done with this meal and eat it. So I think that's an interesting thing. Recipe versus intuition. I see. Oh, good. Charlene's in there. You made it. We've got, how many people do we have here? It's not telling me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you to everybody who is helping out here, and especially typing on behalf of me. I now have 2 hands that aren't feeling great. So thanks for your help. So we've all been forced to be more efficient with shopping. And in some cases, people have been forced to deal with the default produce and things they get when they order online, and the supermarket workers pick stuff for them. They're not always happy with the quality of what they get, or the particular oranges, avocados, whatever it is that were selected for them. Do we want to investigate something around that? That's always possible. But that seemed to be an issue for some people who were getting the delivery and the pickup. Let's see. Clean, going back to concern about mess, it seemed like some people were really concerned that even though they had non-stick pans, things might burn or stick. Some people have noticed their non-stick pan coating is starting to wear off, so there's definitely concern. Let's see, I'll put my non-stick pan isn't so non-stick anymore. And again, sometimes I am taking notes that are direct quotes, and sometimes I am taking notes based on what someone said, so more of the general theme or activity or habit. Let's see. Here, participant 1 likes appliances that can be taken apart, so you can easily separate the pieces that are clean, that you can clean. So let's put that, I guess, in mess. So prefers appliances that come apart for easy cleaning. And participant 1 wished for a non-stick pan that was dishwasher safe. So let's put that in. Wish for non-stick pan that's dishwasher safe. In case you didn't know, you're not supposed to put your non-stick pans in the dishwasher. It can make that coating come off, or at least the old-fashioned ones. I'm old. All right. Now let's move on to participant 2. I'm going to check all my notes for that person. You check yours if you took notes watching participant 2. Participant 2 is interesting because she is cooking for herself. She is married, but her husband seems to, at least somewhat temporarily, live in another city for work. So they seem to hang out on weekends, COVID and travel permitting. So that was, an interesting situation. Here, her husband is allergic to tomato seeds, so they have to make sure to not end up with tomato seeds. So they'll mostly make sure they're using purees and sauces. So let's add, okay, we got tomato seeds up there. I wonder who put that there. And it was Kayleen. Thank you. Let's see, husband, tomato seeds, microwaving. If she's lazy, she'll take a pizza out of the freezer. Let's talk about concern about time, and I'm going to add microwave frozen pizza. So microwave frozen. If we hear about people who have a habit of doing something because of time. So participant 2 sounds like if she really doesn't want to take the time or doesn't feel like she has it for cooking or preparing, she's just gonna microwave up frozen pizza. Participant 2 called herself a moody cook. And if she doesn't feel like cooking, she just might order in or take out. So that could go to cooking is stressful. So yeah, we've got I feel a bit moody, and I guess we could add to that if they don't feel like cooking, order in or get takeout. So really, if people are having a busy day or a certain set of feelings, they might just not cook at all. And that's okay. We just want to know that behavior exists. And let's see. Both do the shopping, but currently just her. She doesn't like grocery shopping at all. She despises it since she was a kid. Why did she hate it so much? Her mom used to drag her to grocery and stores. She hated it. So we heard that a few times. We heard a few times that shopping was a nightmare for people. I think it was shopping was a nightmare for Naz's partner, right? So we've got cooking is stressful. We've got shopping is stressful. I mean, we've got grocery shopping. These are general things about shopping. I'm going to add a new box for shopping is a nightmare or shopping is stressful. Shopping is stressful. So for all the people who said they despise shopping, they hate it, it's a nightmare, they avoid it, it's overwhelming, let's get those over here into this box. So I remember that we heard that participant 2 seemed to despise shopping since she was a kid. And I also remember that participant 7's partner hates shopping and felt overwhelmed by it. Yeah, thank you. Some of you are beating me to this, and I appreciate, my hands appreciate that. My hands, thank you. Jamie says, I just joined. What the heck is going on here? We are doing an affinity diagram in Mural, hashtag not sponsored. And we are working with the notes that we took from the last 8 live streams I did that were semi-fake observational research sessions for everybody to practice their note-taking. So now that people practice their note-taking, we're going through this. These are my notes on the screen here behind me, and I am taking a look at what were some of the things that we saw and heard. And this is Mural. It is a competitor to Miro, and I find that people are very loyal to one. Some people love Miro, hate Mural. I like Mural and hate Miro. Can't explain it, but there you go. Okay, here's a good one from participant 2. She had a hard time getting supermarket deliveries because it was hard for her to find an open slot because so many other people are getting supermarket deliveries. So let's put that. Do we have a separate delivery thing, or is that just under shopping? I can put it under shopping. So let's say under shopping, we could say that can be difficult. So it can be difficult to get delivery time slot. So that's a problem. And also she said if there's a delivery slot, she'll take it even if she thinks she doesn't need it. She'll just get stuff because she can't believe she got the delivery slot. So let's add that. So the delivery slot is like such a rare animal. Delivery slot so rare, she'll order even if she doesn't need anything. Elijah says, just joining. Apologize if you ask this, but have you heard of the KJ technique or method? No. Elijah, tell us about it. And you can't put a link in YouTube. They're blocked. So can you sum up in a few posts, what is the KJ technique or method? I don't know it. Let's see. We also heard that some people had tried those boxed food delivery services where you get like the raw ingredients for the meal and the recipe, and then you still have to make it. And generally what we heard was that that was expensive, and that it's fun to do when you're on the free trial or the heavily discounted trial, but I think 0 of our participants who tried that continued with it, feeling that it was too expensive. So that's not really under shopping. So let me grab another grid and let's put out here something about meal kit delivery boxes. So if you've got something that you heard during the sessions on that, we can put that in there. And I remember hearing that people liked the meal kit boxes, but I also heard that they were too expensive to get regularly. And we also heard that they're great when heavily discounted, but they're not going to continue with those. Yeah, too expensive. She had the discount and then stopped. If it weren't expensive, they'd continue. Cooking habits. When the pandemic started, you couldn't go outside. People were hoarding. We got a big bag of rice. So we've got changes in cooking behavior since the pandemic. Let's get on there that people are buying more frozen foods. That we heard that from participant 2. So more frozen foods. Probably, let's see. Well, I don't want to say probably. We only put in. Let's put in things we know. let's focus on that. She also said she got a big bag of rice instead of a small packets of rice. So it sounds like some people are buying more in bulk. So let's see, more bulk buying of ingredients like rice. So that's a good one to note. And Elijah says, KJ method was the origins of affinity diagramming from the Japanese engineer of the same name, but his version is now different than what many people use as affinity diagramming. Okay, can you maybe Slack me a link and we'll take a look at what this is? Because I'm always open to new ideas that aren't design thinking. Let's see, no cooking classes, learned from mom, looks at Instagram, follows some food blogs. So we did have some people who followed food blogs and they followed some food YouTubers, but then they didn't necessarily follow recipes for themselves. So I'm not too sure what we can learn from that. I'm not too sure how relevant that ends up being to our research goals, because we're not if we created something and we wanted to market it, we might go back to our notes and say, ooh, how do we market to these people? What YouTubers are they into? So I'm not sure that helps us right now. If you think it does, put it up on the board. I'm not taking any notes off the board. Let's see. We also have, let's get this on the, do we have something about like smart home devices and technology? Did anybody put that? Do we have something for that? Because we have participant 2 who is using their Alexa to make their grocery list. So there's that relationship with technology as well, that people are using their assistants for timers, but also for possibly your shopping list. So let me grab a tiled area and drag it out. And I'll say digital assistant usage. Yeah, these are all disorganized. I'm sorry, everybody. I am function over, I'm function over form, yeah. So we've got Alexa for timers, and we also have Alexa, yep, there you go, and Alexa, if someone wants to put up Alexa for shopping list. Okay, failed with difficult meals. She didn't know how to combine spices well. I think that's another, where do we have our notes on getting it, fine line about getting it wrong would be spices and balance of spices. I'll put up a note there. Spices and balance of spices. Fine line when using spices between nicely spiced and oh crap, this is a mess. In fact, we saw Kayleen adding sugar to her dishes because she felt there was too much salt. So correcting for salt or spices with sugar, or what else? Well, we saw correcting for salt with sugar. I don't think we saw any other corrections, but we did see that, if I remember correctly, Kayleen. Moody. Let's see. What else did we see from participant 2? So again, another person who didn't measure everything. Participant 2 definitely has some notes we can put into the kitchen layout. Somebody put, was this kitchen problems? Participant 2, yeah, you've got stepping stool. The sugar rounds out the one-dimensional harshness of the salt. Okay. Doesn't know where wife put stuff. Yes, I think that was participant 8. Heights of the counter, bad dishwasher, drawers clashing. Yes, that was participant 3. So true. I think we should also talk about in our kitchen problems, let's say small apartments. And we also heard a lot about rental houses, that I'm renting this house, or, I can't relay out the kitchen. So I think that's an issue. We also, if you watched participant 8, who remembers another kitchen problem he had, his oven heats unevenly. Remember that he and his wife were very concerned that this bacon was going to be cooked well, but this bacon on the other side of the oven was not going to be cooked well. So there's just a whole bunch of stuff. And do I have something from Elijah? No. Okay, Elijah, send me something eventually so I can see this other thing, or I can try to Google it. Let's you guys keep putting stuff up. I'm going to take a quick break here and look at KJ, because Elijah said so. Technique, method. Let's see if that comes. Okay. Individual brainstorming. Everyone silently writes down ideas. Is this it? Elijah? KJ technique. Well, it's not a good sign when the first article is 2004 and it's Jared Spool's website. You trying to kill me? Thinking methods, KJ, is that it? Well, let's see what this website says. You all keep putting stuff up. Problem identification, circumstances definition, diagnosis and problem formulation, solutions and working hypotheses, solution activation, programmed solution application. I don't know. Oh, great. And voting. Okay. I don't know. I'm not feeling this, and I'm not sure this is an upgrade, but I also feel like I have not found whatever Elijah thought was strong or interesting about this. The KJ method was developed to bridge the gap between unstructured... Oh gosh, this is like an academic paper. Hello, Olivia. It predates all that. It was in the 60s for project management. I'm curious how this has evolved into using affinity diagrams for design. Okay, that part I can't tell you. Oh, Wikipedia says something about this. The affinity diagram is a business tool. People have been grouping data with natural relationships. Affinity diagram, sometimes referred to as KJ. Large number of ideas from brainstorming to be sorted into groups based on natural relationships, organized notes. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's something we're doing and we don't even know we're doing it. So, so I don't follow anybody's model in particular. I'm just putting my notes out and seeing where I see patterns, because when I see patterns and themes, it's going to help me with everything else I'm doing next. That step stool was scary. For participant 2, let's see. Another thing we noticed was, and maybe this is kitchen problems, how many people remember people who had to turn the heat up, turn the heat down, turn the heat up, turn the heat down. Now again, this is probably because they were not using a recipe. They were just saying, I should probably put the heat around here. So heat up, heat down, yep, burner mapping, also very true. Participant 8 had trouble with that. Kayleen said, after 5 seconds of Googling, I think the original affinity diagramming each data point sticky note is related to each other with arrows. Yeah, that sounds like some of the mind mapping techniques I see people using. I cannot be arsed, as they say, to start drawing arrows between all of these things. I just like to put them into groups, and I like the way that Mural makes that easy, where you can make a little grid box and just keep throwing stuff in. Let's see. Oh, I think this was like the only thing we saw measured all week. 1 teaspoon of cumin powder. Congratulations, Charlene. Let's see. I think we also have to make a note somewhere and let me know where you think it should go. But there were some people who had, let's just call them distractions while they were cooking. There was, I got to check on my dog and my cat. Hey, my cat is trying to eat my food. Things like that. So we have to remember that very often cooking is or can be interrupted for people. It's not like they're in a cone of silence. There's other things that demand their attention from time to time. That doesn't mean those things are stressful or negative. It just means that their attention is going to have moments of lack of focus. So I see Kayleen putting up a new box. Let's see what she's naming it. Interruptions. Yeah, we had Charlene worrying about her dog and her cat. We had Naz having a cat begging for spinach. But again, these are interruptions that can contribute to, oops, this thing is burning, or oops, I started cuddling my cat and I forgot that I was cooking a thing. Let's see. I feel like Charlene was the only person who had a tea towel handy. I don't remember anybody else having a towel handy. I don't know if that's important, but I'm just thinking about things I observed. What do you all remember? Let's see. Here we go. Her cooker top wasn't stable. Rental house, no choice. So, unstable cooker top. So let's get that on there. Unstable cooker top. Hold on to pans and pots out of fear, I guess, that they're going to slide. Kayleen says, I do have towels handy, but I don't use them until I'm done cooking. Okay. How do you know when your dish has gone wrong? Taste it every now and then. Sometimes the color doesn't go wrong. Then she'll call her family in a panic. Excuse me. Here's a great moment when we go through for task analysis. This is another great knowledge moment. So there are so many things people know that are part of their task. So, for example, participant 2 knows that her front burners are really big with high flames, and then the back 2 are medium size with medium flames. So she wants to cook on the front ones if she has to cook something hot and fast, tea on the small one. So that's a really nice task analysis knowledge moment. She has to know which burner is the right one to cook on. We talked about that a little bit with participant 8. If the dish comes out, she will take photos. I think most people said they might photograph it, even though they might not post it on social media. They might send it to a friend. They might send it to a family member. Even if it's unsuccessful, they might send it to a family member and be like, here's how it turned out. So I think we did hear a lot of people taking pictures of their food. Maggie said, I had a towel. It was out of the camera view. We do too. So I think Charlene's got an interesting dream home appliance idea, from that blue sky, big dreams question that we asked. And She talked about some sort of robot or something that could say, now is the time to put in this spice. The food is cooked this much. Lower the flame. Raise the flame. Great in helping to get her that perfect dish. What stage is this dish at? Do you need more water? What should you do? She wants a robot to guide her like her mother does. So we probably don't have a box for that, but let's make a box for some of the dreams that people told us from the final questions about dream home appliance or magic wand questions. So I'll make this called dreams and magic wand, and we can put some things that we heard in there. And I'll just move that box and line it up. I would definitely write more than robot. Yeah, because that's, you're going to hear me in 14 seconds and you're already doing it. Let's see. She wanted a robot to tell her exactly when to, let's make sure we have really specific notes on this. She wanted a robot to tell her exactly when it was time to add a certain ingredient. And she wanted a robot that would tell her when to raise or lower the flame, or what heat level her cooking should be at, and if there's something she's supposed to add or what she can do. So I would say, let's write these things specifically. Chopping slows her down. Excuse me. So I think a dream here would be pre-chopped food. Now I know some supermarkets do offer pre-chopped things. I know sometimes they're more expensive, but those do exist. So let's say pre-chopped ingredients there. And let's move on to participant 3. Participant 3 could not eat fiber and fat, and boyfriend doesn't like cheese. Remember that one? Did we get that up on the board? No. So let's add that. Fiber and fat. That's tough. Like everything's got those things. So that's tough. Okay. Let's see. Participant 3 was the only one we had who was hoping to gain weight. Elijah says, is it important to write down solution mediums like a robot that does X instead of they want X done? Because this might not be a robot that can do all that. Yeah, that's a great question. So normally I start out with what they said, because at this point, this is just the affinity diagram. Later on, if we are considering optimizations or solutions, I don't feel like it has to be a robot. I don't feel like it has to be anything in particular. I'm just trying to get the ideas down on the board as close to their words as possible, because that was their dream. So I'm just trying to represent what they said, but that doesn't mean that my solution will be anything that they said or just like what they said. Oh, Maggie, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much, Maggie. Thank you. I hope it showed up on the screen. Did something drop into the cup? I can't see the cup from here. So here in Affinity Diagramming Land, I am just trying to accurately represent the notes that I have taken from the interviews and observations I have done. So if somebody said something, even if what they said was a lie, or even if what they said was impossible, or even if what they said was blah, 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 I will still put it on the board if it seems like an important point for the goals of our research, or even somewhat outside of the goals of the research if it's something I heard and I thought was interesting. The cup works. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm looking at the screen. I can't see the overlay. Let's see. So I thought of participant 3 as another semi-stressed out cook. She seemed very concerned about time and timing and So let's see. She talked about she's using Shipt. She doesn't go to the grocery store, but she used to like it because it was nice to get away from the kids for a little bit. She's ordering from her phone, and then it just shows up. She tried the Hello Fresh, and they haven't tried the others. So she might still be doing it. Googling recipes, that's pretty common. Here we go, another Alexa cooking timer. Also asks Alexa how to store food like fresh produce. How do you store a poblano pepper? So digital assistant usage, how to best store food. Okay, difficult meals, terrible at baking. We heard that from a few people. A few people were like, oh God, I am just so bad at baking. Cooking can change her mood. If she has time and gets off work early, not worried about anything or going to bed, listen to podcast. Otherwise, cooking is a chore and stressful. Okay, so here's another one. Where do we have our board on cooking is stressful? So this is someone who said if she has time, put on a podcast, do some cooking. If not, so if she doesn't feel that she has time, she has to do it anyway. She's doing it anyway, but it's a chore and it's stressful. So let's add, do we have, I don't know if we have a note on that, but chore and stressful when low or no time. We also saw that it sounds like she can be stressed by her boyfriend's children giving her a low score for her dish. She would love to get an 8 out of 10, and that would help her mood. So we can wonder, we don't know for sure, does getting a low score from these children hurt her mood? So that's tough. They like her tortillas, rolling pins, sweat, and tears. So I think under cooking is stressful, we need a little bit more room. So let me slide this one over and let's make this box a little bigger. Thank you. Yeah, we need other people's opinions on the dish. That can definitely contribute to this. Homemade tortillas, learned over quarantine. Today we're winging it. Prepared her cooking area. Did it during her lunch break. Uses Brita water. Picked her small pot. So this is where knowledge went a little bit funky. So she picked a small pot. She didn't feel like getting the bigger one and waiting for the water to boil. So that was timing and patience. But if you watched number 3, her pot was too small and it kept boiling over. And she would have to turn the heat up and turn the heat down, turn the heat up and turn the heat down. So let's make sure we make a note in the concern about time area that because this person didn't want to take too long to boil water, she used a smaller pot, but later regretted it. So looks like Kayleen's flying over to handle that one. Thank you. All right. Okay, so here's another thing that we heard about that we should put on for our grocery shopping, which is forgetting ingredients. So it sounds like participant 3 was putting together her shopping late at night. She was exhausted. She forgot to order she called it both pepperoni and salami for her pasta salad, and then realized only once she went to cook that it wasn't there. So I would say that would maybe go in the grocery shopping, which is, I don't know if it's that people aren't working from lists, but forgot to order key ingredient for dish. And of course, that means that she just went without. She didn't really have anything she could substitute for it. It sounded to me, tell me if you felt this way too, but from well, not feelings, I mean, what did you hear and see? Participant 3, it sounded like she shopped and ordered for food almost every day or every other day. I think we asked her how often let's see, what did she say? Oh, when did we ask her about how often she shops? Shopping for dinner, usually her. Lunch, usually boyfriend. They used to shop daily or every other day. That created food waste. Now they're shopping one day a week. And HelloFresh is Monday to Wednesday. So they are doing the HelloFresh box. That's someone who didn't cancel HelloFresh. So it sounds like HelloFresh is maybe 3 meals a week for this participant. One participant, HelloFresh, 3 times a week. Kayleen said, one weird thing about Mural is that my mouse scroll wheel will move the screen maybe 1 millimeter at a time. Yeah, that I haven't seen, and I'm on a trackpad, so I don't know. Let's see, we're going to run late today so that we can really get into this. I'm going to go like another 20 minutes. I hope you don't mind. If we think we need more time, we can also do Wednesday. I'll add a second session. So let's take a quick vote. Do people want me to continue the affinity diagram on Wednesday, or do you feel like what we've talked about today has been enough for you to learn a little bit about building this board? So I don't want to spend hours on it if everybody kind of gets the idea, but at least this is how I approach it. You might have approached yours differently. That doesn't mean you would have done it badly or wrong. I'm just showing people how I do observational research in case there's something you can get out of it. But even though I'm willing to go another 20 minutes or so, do people want me to also work on this live on Wednesday? So let me know in the chat room, because I don't have a poll for you to vote in. Did anybody get that the grocery shopping sometimes gave them produce they didn't like? The delivery services. Do we have that somewhere? I'm not sure I see that. I'm going to add that over here. If we find it's a duplicate, that's okay. So this would be poor quality produce when I didn't select it. So when people did pickup or delivery, there you go. Anita says, I've gotten a lot out of today. I think I get the general idea for best practices. Okay, yeah. If people don't want to continue Wednesday, we'll just go with this, and then next week we'll be doing our task analysis, which I will also share early in the Slack channel for those who want to get started on it. It'll also be a mural board. Let's see. Okay, so this is another person using their Amazon Echo for timing. There's boiling over. Washing stuff as she goes. She bought pre-sliced olives. Who has time to cut olives? Concerned about time? Who has time to cut olives? Pot's boiling over. Mess stresses her out. So where's our stuff about mess? Mess equals stress. Oh, Elijah says, I'd be interested in seeing how you turn this into actionable insights, but I don't know if that means seeing another affinity diagram video or going straight into that task analysis. Yeah, we're going to do task analysis on, I think it's Monday. And because tomorrow's Tuesday, I'll be doing those 2 office hours, 10 a.m. my time and 6:30 p.m. my time. Wednesday, the rest of the week, I don't have any streams planned, and that's good. My hands need the break. Monday was going to be the task analysis, and next Wednesday was going to be the optimized task flow. So Monday we'll just build the task analysis. Wednesday we'll optimize it. Ultimately, a lot of the actionable insights I think will end up when we work on the report. Because right now I'm not sure we have a lot of actionable stuff just yet. We're still bringing all of our ideas together. We're seeing what was common across multiple participants, or what was unique to 1 or 2 participants, but was still important to notice. So I would say this is a little early for insights. So this is where I like to say that this is the difference between findings and insights. Other people may define these differently, but what I like to say is these are findings. This is what we found. It's what we heard. It's what we saw. But we haven't said anything insightful yet. We haven't made something actionable yet. We don't have a suggestion here or an optimization. So to me, we're still at that early stage of just trying to find the findings. What did we find? What did we see? What did we hear? And once we can start to organize that, then later on, and especially with the task analysis, we can say, okay, this task was a mess. How do we make this better for people? And where do we think we can improve? The famous things Larry always talks about: tools, knowledge, workarounds, issues, and obstacles. And I do think there are opportunities here. I think there are definitely opportunities to try to help people out with some of their timing. I think there's an opportunity to help people out with some of their ingredient allergy concerns. I think there's an opportunity. Let's see, what else? These are my early ideas, but again, I haven't put out ideas, insights, opportunities. I would say some of my early things, and let me know what yours are, I think are... I think there's some opportunities for improvements to the grocery pickup and delivery world. Now, hypothetically, our fake company doesn't necessarily deal in that, but our fake company could decide to enter that space. So I think there's some grocery shopping, and especially with the pickup and delivery, people couldn't get slots. They didn't always like what the workers picked for them. They would like to pick it themselves. So I think we could eventually come up with some interesting things there. But remember, the task analysis is still not about solutions. It's not about, hey, people struggled with some grocery pickup, so here's the solution. First, we just start with where can we make these people's tasks better, faster, easier, more efficient, less cognitive load, less manual work. So that is the quote from Larry. He's going to kill me that I don't remember it. The quote about which quote? The tools, workaround, knowledge, issues, and obstacles, or the 4 things you're supposed to. I'm forgetting them right now. The 4 things you're supposed to watch for. Elijah, somebody knows it. Kayleen, it was manually intensive stuff, right? Cognitively intensive stuff. Oh, who remembers? Quick quiz. I can't remember. I haven't seen it lately. He's going to kill me. I'm glad he's busy and he's not dropping by lately. All right, let's keep looking at my notes for anything else. Sorry, I'm just reading my own notes. I should probably speak out loud as if I'm, maybe broadcasting. Manually intensive. Fisaya remembers. Kayleen's got it. Manually intensive, cognitively intensive, knowledge dependent, and error prone. Yes, thank you, Kayleen. Thank you. I could not remember those 2. And Fisayo's got it too. Sorry, my dog is excited. So we've got special guest dog. Olivia, do you want to be on Mommy's show? Come here. Do you want to be on Mommy's show?
I know.
Olivia hates to be on camera. That's like a threat in disguise. Thank you again to Fisayo. Okay, so her pot didn't fit in her sink. So that's another kitchen problem. Pot didn't fit in sink. You know, these are the things that I think IKEA tends to try to solve, like these kitchen problems. So we might not, we might just, you remember, we might run into pain points and problems that we decide not to solve. We could say how they could be improved or optimized, and then our company could say, we don't want to deal in that. That's, you know, that's not our best area of business. Bark, bark. Yes, that was Olivia. Let's see, what else did we hear from Julia? Okay. Electric stove. Dishwasher. Photos for social media. Loves her air fryer. For her, the magic wand was a better designed kitchen. So, you know, we can't necessarily solve that, but she's not wrong. Chang says, I hope we're not done. I was in a meeting. Yeah, we're not done, Chang. And I'm going to leave this mural board open all week. If you all want to come back and add some of your own things or group things or organize things, deltacx.link/mural. And it'll be there. So we'll leave that open until next week when the same URL will point to the task analysis. So this will be available all week. Let's see. Pandemic made her feel like she had time for adventurous recipes in the beginning when they had nothing to do. So we had something here that said changes in cooking since pandemic. So I would say maybe I'll make a note here about early pandemic. Early pandemic, nothing to do, more adventurous with recipes. But now it sounds like things have changed for people where even when they are locked down, they don't have that nothing to do sense. That's been replaced. I mean, even, I don't know about you all, but when you're locked down now, you probably don't feel like, nothing to do. I'm going to stick around maybe another 10-15 minutes. Thanks for going late. I'm going to take a look at participant 4, and we're lucky enough that participant 4 is with us today. So we can see what she has to say, and she can see my notes about her. She cooks for both. Sometimes he doesn't eat. He's not hungry. She tries to cook enough for both of them and one portion of leftovers. And okay, so that's an interesting habit. Let's cook enough for everybody plus leftovers. Do we have anything here about, like, any habits about the cooking quantity? I don't see a section about that. So maybe let's add a new section that could be about, just in case we hear more things, that might be about how much people cook to ensure that they have a certain amount of leftovers. So let's see, I'll make a new area down here. And I'll call it quantity cooked, prep for leftovers, or anybody doing meal prep. So am I still on the internet? You got quiet. Everybody here? Sometimes schedules don't line up and he has to cook. Whoever has more time is the person who cooks. So we definitely heard that some people are on a real schedule. He does dinner, I do lunch. And it sounds like other people are, whoever has more time that day does the cooking, and we assume it evens out. Elijah says, I noticed many of the test participants did not have a big family. My family cooks differently due to wanting to make sure we have leftovers and such. Yes, again, if we had done a proper recruiting adventure where we said, let's get some people who are in a couple or married, and some people who are single or alone, and some people who are cooking for a family. But I didn't do that, and we should have done that, but I didn't. I just went for, this was like totally winging this whole series. I don't have like any notes or anything. So hypothetically, we would have done a proper screener survey and recruited and said, okay, let's meet this many people who fit this. So Elijah's right. He's part of a big family. We should have seen how big families cook as well. When we write our report, I usually have a section of my report where I say, how could this study be flawed? And this study could be flawed because number one, we only met 8. And number 2, we didn't really meet big families, and we only met 1, and we didn't really meet people who talked about like cooking in preparation. I think 1 or 2 people might have said that sometimes they cook for a few days at a time, but we didn't dig deeper. And remember, sometimes your research leads to more research. When you start seeing the themes and you start seeing things, you go, oh man, maybe there's an interesting opportunity for our company related to helping people do 3 to 7 day meal prep. I think it was Randy said his wife on Sunday cooks for 3 or so days. Then you go, you know what? We should probably meet another 10, 15 people and learn about their multi-day meal prep. Sometimes your research makes you want to do more research. So, there you go. So we have participant 3 who generally cooks 2 servings plus 1 leftover serving. And I thought that was extremely interesting that's the way that she explained it, because there's 2 of them. And I thought, why aren't you cooking 2 servings and 2 leftover servings so you can each eat this again? Do you end up fighting over that? Now, I didn't ask, and I could have chased that down if I thought that were important to the research. Let's see. Kayleen said, I may have talked about in my interview, I ignore ingredient quantities because of the recipe scale. I don't think you mentioned that. Elijah says, how do you consider cases where you may be missing a customer segment? I'll typically put that in my research report. Now, of course, normally I try not to miss a customer segment. I would try to properly recruit so that I have met some of different segments. But sometimes the research brings to light like, oh wow, we really didn't talk to these we didn't talk to senior citizens. So normally I will just put a section of my report that says how might this research be flawed, or what could be flawed about this research. I have to go see what I name it. And I try to be honest and upfront and say this research could be flawed because we mostly met people cooking for themselves or themselves and a partner who are mostly in their 20s and 30s. And that means there's a lot of types of people we didn't meet. So that's what I would normally do. But again, normally I would recruit more carefully and try to work with a larger sample. Like a project I'm working on now, we're going to be observing 24 people. And part of me feels that's even low. But there you go. Another, since we didn't do proper recruiting, we also didn't meet anybody with disabilities. We didn't meet anybody who said, because of my dyslexia, I mess up recipes or cooking, or my left hand doesn't work very well, so I tend to cook with dominantly one hand. So that's a variety of populations that we didn't meet. Kayleen says, I like having leftovers. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but you made it sound like you want 1. Charlene says, same here, Kayleen, but I mess up the quantity. Elijah says, good thing to keep in mind. Many scientific articles also have a section for how this research could be improved. That's just something that I have put in, and I've been bluntly naming it like how this research might be flawed. I could probably name it something a little bit softer. So yeah, how this research could be improved or opportunities for future research. But the last time I wrote a report, I just said, how this research might be flawed. And I just said, we didn't meet any disabled people. We didn't meet blah, blah, blah. So, hey, this is going to be good research, but on a subset of who we probably should have met. Kayleen says, seems sarcastic. I didn't mean to sound sarcastic. Well, when you said, I said, does your boyfriend like cooking? And you said, he totally does. And I was like, is she being sarcastic? But I didn't want to be like, are you being sarcastic? So, if you really aren't sure if someone means something or not, I'm sure there's a gentle way for you to say, I'm sorry, I couldn't tell if you meant that seriously or if you were just joking there. Does he genuinely enjoy cooking? So you can always chase that one if you're not sure from someone's tone of voice, or if you think they're being a little bit jokey, you can always chase that down. Anita says, really interesting to see. That was the impression. I suppose that's the importance of follow-up questions. Yeah. So, but ultimately, I didn't ask a follow-up question because ultimately, whether or not her boyfriend enjoys cooking probably wasn't that germane to our overall research goals. There are a lot more questions here that are a lot more important. And so I didn't chase it, but I certainly could have chased it, especially if I felt like there was something ambiguous about her answer or something I didn't understand about the answer. You should definitely chase stuff when you don't understand. But in this case, I didn't, just for time because it wasn't going to be core to our research goals. Fisayo says, what is the largest number of interviews you've ever done on a project? Last year we did a project for a very famous company, and between me and my not so secret partner on the project, we met 71 people. I think I met more than he did, but it's not a contest. But together we met 71 people because the client had 6 different user types, and we wanted to meet 8 to 12 of 6 different types. That's how you end up with 71. We were shooting for 70, and 1 snuck in. So I'm going to wrap up now just because we're running out of time for today, and I do have something I need to do in a few minutes. So I'm going to leave that mural board open, and you are all welcome to continue adding your notes over the next few days and organizing them however you would see fit. As you can see, I tried to organize them into themes that have to do with actions, intentions, feelings, preferences, concerns, motivations, fears. That's typically the buckets that I'm organizing in for an affinity diagram. Sometimes I will organize, if I am doing research on a process flow that's say on a website, like a checkout, then I might organize my board by the part of the flow where they had the problem. So I might say, ooh, when they did add to cart, here's a bunch of things that I heard. Hey, when they went to look at their cart, here's a bunch of things that I heard. Hey, when they tried to start checking out, here's some things I saw. When they tried to enter in their shipping address, here's some things I saw. So I can't say that I always do the same thing every time. Sometimes I'm organizing by some of the vibes from people, and sometimes I'm organizing by some of what the workflow or process was. We could have done that here, but the core of the research in this particular case wasn't what are their steps in cooking. That wasn't totally the point of it. It was really like, what can this company dream up to make cooking better and easier for people? But if it were more focused on the steps of cooking, then I might have organized my board for preparation. Okay, how did they chop? Or how did they shop? Then how did they chop? Then, steps of preparation. Fisaya says 71. I know. Chang says, thanks, Debbie and everyone. I need to rewatch this video. Thank you. Abby says, thank you. It's interesting and insightful. Sure, that's why I'm doing them. I hope that they're turning out okay. This is all unscripted and wacky. And of course, subscribe here on YouTube, ring the bell, empathize with the like button, let the YouTube algorithm know this was pretty good. If you do know people who are looking to learn more about research, of course, I still recommend curiositytank.com for proper courses. And they can certainly watch the micro lessons playlist for the things that we've been doing. And there's more to come. We will be doing task analysis, optimized task flow, possibly personas, and a mini 1.5 hour version of writing a report on all of this. So again, these are all going to be mini versions of things. This is micro lessons, but hopefully it's enough to show you some of how I do things, even though there are other people you might meet or learn from who have different styles. And, that's fine. I didn't go to university for this. This is just the style that I've adopted and seems to work well for me. Any last questions or thoughts before we wind up for this session? And thank you again for everybody who joined and who stayed late. Let's see. Elijah says, here is the Wikipedia article. Yes, finally seeing that. What else am I missing that everyone's typing in Slack? If there's nothing else cooking, then I am going to wind up for the day. Thank you, Charlene. Again, thank you. Thank you so much to our 8 participants and friends of the show for being part of the helpful note-taking practice in the observational sessions. Everybody keep working on the the mural board. That will be open all week. Monday, this URL will, or before Monday, it will send us to the task analysis, which I will start setting up probably over the weekend. This weekend is Easter, and so is it true that I am doing the next show Easter Monday? If so, I apologize to anybody who is observing Easter Monday. Yeah, I am doing the task analysis on Easter Monday. I apologize if that interferes with anyone's Easter, Passover, or other holidays, celebrations, or observances, but it will certainly be archived in the Micro Lessons playlist, and there you go. Kayleen says, will you be looking at the diagram offline and not on live stream? I'll definitely circle back to it for my report. I'm not sure if we'll look back at it before then, but message me if you think you need me to see something. I will look at it upon request. Okay, I'm going to play us out of here. Thanks to everybody. Believe in ergonomics and keep your hands friendly, and wear your mask, and I'll see everybody tomorrow for office hours. Thanks.
Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation.